I wouldn't give you a buck for a cup of coffee at this point.
Hello and welcome to the Part-Time Gamers, the gaming podcast for people with full-time lives. I'm Cyranex, clocking in with my good friend, That One Weirdo. Yeah, I actually forgot that was today. Yeah, I legitimately forgot that was today until I went to church this morning, and there was one of the volunteers was wearing Yoda-shaped earrings, and it's like, oh right, yeah, it's the 4th of May. Yeah, that's a thing.
Yep.
I can appreciate it, but I also kind of agree with Scott Johnson that like it's kind of terrible because the way it's pronounced. I can get it. It's just, you gotta have something, I guess.
Well, tomorrow is Revenge of the 5th.
Yeah. Yeah, which anyway.
I gotta say, this is the one made-up holiday. I mean, technically all holidays are made up, but this is the one made-up holiday that I can get behind because, like, everybody, even people who don't really care for Star Wars, aka Star Wars fans,
Yeah.
oh, we're the worst.
Ugh.
We are the worst. We're like my mom at a diner she didn't really care for. It's like, it was fine, but it wasn't. I mean, would I come here again? If I wasn't paying, sure. So, yeah, Star Wars fans were really bad.
Well, yeah, the problem with Star Wars fans is like the problem isn't so much that we hate the material or whatnot. It's the fact that we want the material to be something else and just don't accept it as it is. It's like,
well, and it's kind of a forgotten kind of mindset that in all IPs, not everything is going to be an Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Not everything is going to be a first Godfather. There are ups and downs. And I had my son's favorite Star Wars movie is Episode 3. So they just released it in the theaters, and I went with him. And I have to say, it's his favorite of all of them. Mine is A New Hope, and I had this experience to kind of reset it in my mind because I had never seen it in a theater. I owned it, of course, and stuff. But I watched it with him in the theater, and he loved it. And I was just like, oh, so this is what world building used to look like before the Mouse House took over. Oh, yeah. Okay, we were wrong about hating Christensen. We owe him an edible arrangement.
Yeah, I mean, he's been, like, looking back. That's the thing is, at the time of like the 1, 2, and 3, it was, I don't know, it was just weird. Like, I'm actually watching a documentary on Disney Plus for ILM, and they talk about like Jar Jar Binks and everything like that, and how at the time, like, the adults hated him, the kids loved him, and this, like, all this stuff about it, and then like 20 years later, now it's like, oh, everyone's fine, at the very least fine with him or enjoys it. But
well, and I think the criticism came in a way. Well, two things happened between that time and now time. One was the sale of Disney turned the franchise in such a different direction.
Yeah.
And it's not all bad, and of course it's not all good. But when it was George Lucas's baby, that's how it was treated.
Yeah.
And for him, it was you either love it or you don't. And it was always kind of like cowboy samurais in space. Yeah. It was never meant to be high art. And he knew how to build the world that he created. So you fast forward 20 years and you kind of look at where Disney has taken Star Wars, and you look back at like Hayden Christensen and Ahmed Best, and you're like, wow, you were a part of something that was built, even if it wasn't like the way it should have been. Yeah. You were part of Lucas's baby, because you fast forward now, and a lot of it is just this regurgitation. But having said that, we get it now. Like, you know, the clay sculptor wasn't exactly making the nice vases, but it was still his vases.
Yeah.
And now, like at Celebration, like Hayden Christensen and Ahmed Best, Hayden Christensen especially, gets like standing ovations. And you can tell that poor man, and I've met him here at FanX, and he's very sweet, and he's actually quite soft-spoken, but he's actually very sweet. but he is one of those types where it's like, I still stand by it then, and I still stand by it now. And the thing that's nice about both of them, and of course, with Star Wars fans, both sides, fans and people who were part of Star Wars, the whole mindset is to attack.
Yeah.
But those two particularly never went after anybody. They never sat there and go, well, if you don't like it, it must be on you. They were like, this is what we created. And we
Yeah.
hope one day you guys will appreciate it. They were very humbled, and they took a lot of flack for it back then. But fast forward to now, and every single one of them is like, hey, we knew then what you didn't, and we forgive you. And I'm sitting there watching, like, on my phone, like the one they just had in Tokyo, which was great because I love Tokyo. But I was watching it, and it's like, I'm sorry, I read some stuff about you in a bathroom stall. I can't erase it. It's permanent ink. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, and now looking at Star Wars and the changes they're going through once again, people, and I, as a Star Wars fan, as a true blue Star Wars fan, true blue milk Star Wars fan, um, I love saying this to other people, and of course people say it to me, but especially to all my Star Wars fans, brethren and sisterin, chill the out, okay?
Yeah.
It's not all going to be great. There are so many great characters, so many great IPs, so many great storytelling, so many great verses that go through changes, and it's all part of the trajectory. And I think the low points have their place when storylines go in certain directions, because you're going to appreciate the highs that much more.
Yeah.
And I think people, especially with Star Wars, and especially with something that's fictional, like, chill out, okay? Like, they're all not going to be great. We got Andor now, and Andor is fantastic. Andor is the equivalent of a middle-aged guy, middle-aged brothers, who grew up on Star Wars and went, Star Wars fans now are still Star Wars fans, but they're middle-aged like us.
Yeah.
So no lightsabers, no Force, no Jedi. We're just going to watch warring factions. And it's like, bravo, do that. Yeah, Andor, both seasons is fantastic.
Yeah, I still have to start the second season. I watched the first season, and what? So here's this is probably going to be a hot take regarding to Star Wars.
Okay.
And it's probably just a me thing, but here's my hot take. I actually liked the Acolyte better than Andor. The reason why I say that is because I felt the storyline of Andor was too disjointed. It's like,
I can get that.
Because you're going from like,
sense.
Okay, they did this really big heist over here and everything, and all of a sudden it's just like, oh, right after this heist, no real segue. It's just, oh, now it's a prison escape. And it's like, why, how did we get to that? It just seemed too quick in that respect. Whereas I thought the Acolyte was like Greek tragedy. I like, if I could see a tagline for the Acolyte, it would be, I forgot what the guy's name was. But like the tragedy of, I think it was Son or whatever. Yeah, because, and I thought it was fantastic. Anyways, that being said, my personal favorite Star Wars movie of all time is Rogue One. Anyway.
I love Rogue One. Rogue One's in my top 3.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
We're a gaming podcast, so we should probably get back to work and talk about our game.
Why not?
Morning break is over. Morning break is over.
All right. So, starting a new theme this week for this month, we're going to be talking about tactical games. So, turn-based tactics games. And this one, I'm actually surprised we haven't talked about this one before. I thought for sure we did, but I looked back through our schedule and everything, through our show notes. We talked about Gears 5. We have not talked about Gears Tactics, which I think is... I restarted my... I reinstalled it, restarted it this week, and remembered why I enjoyed it so much. Developed by Splash Damage and the Coalition, and published by Xbox Game Studios. It is normally $29.99 on Xbox and Windows via Steam and the Xbox app. It is available on Game Pass as well. And I believe it is on Steam, at least. It is currently, I think, 9 something. Oh, it is on sale for a little bit. I don't know how long that lasts though,
Sale is good.
Yeah, I mean it's a 5-year-old game. It came out in 2020.
Yep.
So it's definitely got the tactics right. Like I'm starting to agree with John Jagger from Core podcast that just take an IP and put XCOM, and it pretty much works for the most part. There's a lot of games that have done that. In fact, speaking of Star Wars, they just announced that there's a Star Wars game that's basically Star Wars XCOM called Zero Company, which is supposed to be, I think, coming out sometime next year or something like that. They just announced it and they're still working on it. But I actually am discovering that I actually really like this genre in general. But the description that they have on Steam is Gears Tactics is a fast-paced, turn-based strategy game from one of the most acclaimed video game franchises, Gears of War. Outnumbered and fighting for survival, recruit and command your squad to hunt down an evil mastermind who makes monsters. And yeah, it's basically XCOM like in the Gears of War universe. Players control a character named Gabriel Diaz, who, for any Gears of War nuts out there, Gabriel Diaz is the father of Caitlin Diaz, who is the main character of Gears 4 and 5. So this is all a prequel to the Gears of War series, even before the first game in the series. It takes place only 1 year after E-Day, which is Merchant's Day, which
nice.
is where the merchants of the Locust Horde. I gotta stop messing with the random scratch on my elbow. Anyways, I get scratches and stuff like that all over my arms and stuff at work, and anyway. But yeah, so players control Gabriel and his squad as they're facing the Locust Horde. So there are a lot of elements. There's a lot of details in this game, and I'm not going to go through absolutely everything because there is a lot, and it actually is pretty well tutorialized, I think.
It is.
There are a couple things that they don't necessarily make quite as clear, but that can be helpful. But for the most part, like I'm going to start with the different classes that you can get, and then kind of get into the little bit more like basic gameplay. So one thing about this is there are different classes that you can choose for your characters. Or that the characters are, I should say. So there are 6 unique classes that each have different abilities, different weapons, different talent trees, skill trees, or whatnot, and have different functions. So you have your support, which focuses on healing and buffing, uses the Mark II Lancer with the chainsaw bayonet, which is one of the abilities they can get. They can, if they have enough action points, whatnot, they can use the chainsaw bayonet and immediately kill an enemy if they're able to get up too close to them. And the way that these skill trees work is it's this network of nodes, and depending on, there's not really a clear like specialization. You don't pick. There's no like drop down to say it's like, okay, I'm going to have him be a surgeon or whatnot. It's all one tree, but depending on which quadrant you go to, that's kind of the specialization. That's like each corner of the skill tree will have a different title next to it, and that's kind of basically what you're specializing in. So for support, they can either be a surgeon, a paragon, a combat medic, or a strategist. Surgeon focuses on single target healing. Combat medic focuses on squad healing. Paragon focuses on granting power and actions to other units. They have an ability that, like, I think every time they get an execution or whatnot, I think that's actually baseline, but they have an ability where they can just give action points to other allies. And then strategist is offensive power with the Lancer. So they're the quintessential healers. Vanguards are the frontline tanks. They use the Mark I Lancer, otherwise known as the Retro Lancer, which is still one of my favorite weapons in the game. I love that weapon. But they have the Warden, Shock Trooper, Paladin, and Assault trees. And Warden focuses on being more tanky. Shock Trooper is disrupting enemies. Paladin is protecting the entire squad. Assault is more damage dealing. You have the heavy, which uses the mulcher. They focus on more. Now, the support and the vanguard are pretty much almost essential for every party because they're. I'm very WoW brained with a lot of these things, so they're the healer and the tank. You have to have a healer and a tank. Oh,
Right.
so where the variety comes in is how are you dealing the damage, and the damage dealers are the heavy, the scout, and the sniper. So the heavy has the mulcher, which is the Gatling gun. They specialize in staying in one place. They get a bonus for like each turn that they don't move. They gain increased accuracy and increased damage. So that's one thing to consider. Well, like who you're putting in your squads for each mission is like, okay, is this a mission where I'm going to be staying in one place? Okay, I want to focus on the heavy. Is this a mission where I need to move around a lot? Then you're probably going to focus around the scout or even the sniper. The sniper is pretty good all around as well in general. But yeah, the heavy uses the mulcher. The specialist, demolitionist, artillery, and defender. Specialist focuses on maximizing actions. Demolitionist is explosives. Artillery is just increased damage output. And defender focuses a lot on Overwatch. Also, when I say Overwatch, I'm not talking about the Blizzard game. I'm talking about the action.
So I did have that moment. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. So you're not going to be seeing Tracer jumping around in here. Well, I mean, they're both owned by Xbox now, so I wouldn't put it past them.
I mean, anyway. Crossover is a possibility.
Yeah, yeah. But so I'll get into a little bit more detail in the actions and their importance later on. But yeah, so that's the heavy. The scout is a very mobile and stealthy close range damage dealer. They use the Nasher shotgun. They can also focus on like planting mines and grenades and stuff like that. So they can become very powerful that way. And so they have the Raider, which focuses on maximizing just the shots from their shotgun. Recon focuses on mobility. Slayer focuses on finishing enemy units off with executions and such. And Commando uses proximity mines and stuff like that. So they're the mine layers and stuff. And like one, I'll get into that later. Sniper, long range damage dealer, uses the long shot sniper rifle. Go figure. Marksman focuses on critical hits. Hunter focuses on gaining actions. Assassins focus on increased damage. Stalker focuses on area control. So so those are the base ones that you can. These are the human classes, quote unquote. Now there was later a class added that was which is Jack. So people who have played Gears 5 know who Jack is. He's basically a semi-autonomous flying drone that has some enhanced combat assistance capabilities. So he gets utility, options and actions for the rest of the squad, control, manipulate the battlefield, frontline, survive closer engagements with enemies and drop power weapons onto the battlefield, which can be powerful. Defensive gives him protecting other people in the squad. So those are all the classes that you can take with you into these different missions. And some of the missions require certain classes, have restrictions on how many people you can take on there and everything. But that's one of the big considerations when you're going into these missions is like, okay, what exactly is my objective? Am I going to be moving around a lot? Am I going to have to hunker down into one location? Am I, that kind of stuff. So it adds that extra level of strategy, which I really like. And it has that one thing I really like in strategy games is opportunity cost. So you have to figure out, it's like, okay, what if I bring this character, this class into the mission, I'm not going to be able to bring this class in. So it gives you that opportunity cost, which I really like. But with these missions, there is a story mission. There is a story in this game. that you're playing through. So there are story missions that you have to play through as well, which those ones require certain hero characters to be involved with those missions. But in between those missions, they have side missions that you have to do a certain number of side missions between the different story missions. Those can be done by anyone. So why is my video frozen? Sorry. There we go. For whatever reason, the video wasn't going through. Oh, there it goes. So, but yeah, so you have these, and whenever you send someone on a mission, when they come back, they have to rest, they recover for a certain number of missions. So it's a really good idea to have multiple teams. So that way you can send one team out on a mission while another team is recovering, vice versa, and all that. So there's a lot of that element as well. I mean, I think you can have up to 10 recruits or something like that in your barracks, and maybe even more. So, and that's the other thing. Well, like I mentioned, hero characters. So, like Gabriel and another character is Sid Redburn, and I think there's like 5 or 6 different hero characters in this game. They're like the important plot characters. So, if they die in a mission, the mission fails, and you have to start over. But in between missions, you can recruit procedurally generated recruits that are just expendable. So they're kind of no-name recruits that you get along the way. If they die, they're just dead, and you can recruit a new recruit later on, or just replace them. Which kind of sucks because I believe they all level up individually. So sometimes it's a little bit of like the Darkest Dungeon effect, where it's like, oh, great, I just lost my high level character. I need to start a new one. It's like, oh, great. So that kind of sucks, but it's part of the game, trying to keep everyone alive and everything. It is actually fairly forgiving in some degree, because just like in the Gears of War, the third person shooter version of Gears of War, they go down first usually, and then you have a chance to recover them. So there is that. Now for the actual like gameplay, it's not in a grid, which I think is really cool. It's actually like a free, like, yeah, it's just like you're just kind of roaming around these different zones. There's no grid or anything specifically that you're going on. Your actions are determined by action points. You get 3 action points for each turn for each character, and that governs your moving, your attacking, all the different kinds of actions you can do. So and what are my kids doing upstairs? Anyway, sound
like an anvil juggling competition.
Yeah.
Geppetto!
Yeah. Anyways, just loud banging upstairs. They're just playing around, I hope. But anyways,
You hope.
Yeah. I mean, no one's crying yet, so
there you go. Yep.
Anyway. Well, yeah, you have all their different actions, firing, like there is a limited amount of ammo per for the different weapons. So once you run out of ammo, you have to reload, which I don't believe actually takes an action point, but it does kind of break it up. So it's like you can't just continuously fire on a target. You have to take a break, reload the gun, and everything like that. So it is a kind of limiter to that continuous fire aspect, which is especially important for things like Overwatch. So the Overwatch mechanic, I think, is a fantastic mechanic in this, because cover is a factor. Like just like in Gears of War, cover is a major factor. Line of sight is a major factor in this game. So it's like, okay, if you're behind cover, they're behind cover. There's no point in trying to shoot them. It's like you have a 3% chance of hitting them. There's no point of trying to shoot them. So what instead you can do is you can do an Overwatch, whereas basically you prepare for them to come out of cover. You'll see this cone effect. You'll drag this cone effect out onto the field. And whenever a target moves into that zone, you'll automatically fire at them.
Nice.
So never underestimate the power of Overwatch. It is incredibly powerful. And also, it's like another little tidbit. It's not always the best idea to overlap Overwatches, because then you're going to probably, two characters are going to shoot at the same target, and it's potentially going to be wasted damage. So it's usually you want to kind of spread it out a little bit. And what is nice is, depending on what kind of weapon you're using, the Overwatch cone will be different. So like the sniper rifle, the Overwatch cone is very long and very narrow, just like a sniper rifle would be. Whereas the Mauler with the heavy is a very wide cone, but it's much shorter because they're able to move around, cover a wider area with that. So just the level of detail and the level of consideration you need to have in this is a lot, and I really enjoy that. So like another little random little thing that they don't necessarily tell you, but still coincides with how it works in the shooter version of Gears of War, is the utilization of cover. You can actually, so your action points give you a certain amount of distance you can move. And once you go beyond that distance, it'll either require an additional action point, or if you're out of action points at that point, you just can't do it. But if you try to go into cover, it gives you just a little bit more distance that you can move. And that actually is a very similar mechanic to what they have in Gears of War, the shooters. If you can slide into cover a little bit. So if you're trying to eke out just a little bit more distance from your action points, utilize that cover aspect, that slide part aspect of cover. Yeah, and just using cover in general. But you also will get this, like the other thing to consider for your characters, in addition to their abilities and the talents you're choosing and everything, are the weapons. And the weapons and armor, because you can customize all of that too. And each of the different customization options have different effects that, like, there's ones that make it so that you have a higher percentage chance to interrupt someone if you hit them with an Overwatch, or it just increases damage, or it gives you a chance to gain an action point, or things like that. All of those different, like even the individual armor pieces. It's like you get a helmet, I believe you get a helmet, chest, and legs, or boots or whatnot for the armor pieces. And like the leg pieces typically will, if they're lighter, they'll usually give you more movement, like stuff like that. So there's a lot of customization. There's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of ways to really make the teams your own. I really like that. And like actually in the video right now, you're seeing the enemies can do Overwatch as well. So having anti-Overwatch tactics is a really good idea too. And there's a couple options for that. Like I think right now he's going to show, or no, he's doing a different one. Like you get the stub pistol. You get your basic, your primary weapon. You get a snub pistol usually, and then you get grenades. So, and those ones, like the grenades, there's a couple different versions of the grenades too. But if you use the snub pistol, it gives you an option to actually interrupt an Overwatch. So, like if one of your characters is covered by an Overwatch, but the other one is not, and they have a clear shot with a snub pistol, they can hit them with that, cancel out their Overwatch, and then your other character is free to go. So. Yeah, just in general, this game has a lot of nuance to it. Has a lot of different factors to it. Like you can get, even in the objectives, it's like what they're showing in the video right now, there's these supply crates around the missions as well that you can pick up. And those give you the weapon pieces. They give you the different kinds of armor pieces and stuff like that. So that's a consideration as well. It's like, okay, do I want to try to get these? Do I have enough time to get these and the objective done? Yeah, and then get back to the APC to get out of there. So I really enjoy this game. Oh, yeah. What do you think, Theo? What's your input?
This was kind of, first of all, the game is a blast and fun.
Yeah.
And you really said it with the tutorial, because I was kind of like, ooh, because some of these type of games, and it's probably age for me, but if you don't spell it out, I'll start doing the Akari brothers, like in the mid '80s, where they're just in a circle, like, I don't know what they're doing. This didn't have that, obviously. And what was funny is I talked to my son about it, because he's a huge Gears of War fan. Like, he might as well be like, like a librarian somewhere in the years they did, he so versed in the backstory, especially this and Halo. But he
Yeah.
loves these games and stuff like that. And I hadn't heard of this game, which was funny. And he was like, "Oh yeah, it's like 5 years old." I said, "I noticed." And then I was like, "Oh yeah, it came out in 2020. I don't know how I missed it. Nothing happened." Huh.
Yeah.
That was weird. Like,
Yeah.
this game coming out should have been front and center. And he's like, ha ha ha. I'm like, yeah, that's probably why it kind of went over my head. Great to look at. And these type of games, there are times for diehard fans. Like I said, I picked my son's brain on this one, being such a huge fan. I didn't play it as much as he has, obviously. I could play it for the next 10 years straight, and I probably still couldn't catch up to him. But games like this, there are times where when you take something that's done a certain way and you kind of put it into more of a strategy, and it's the type of game, or it's the type of franchise where it's been kind of written a certain way for so long. I remember a lot of Star Wars games being this way, where it was like, what do you mean you're giving strategy? What do you mean I got to think this out? I just want to shoot. And if I'm a stormtrooper in the game, I want to shoot and miss. But he is a huge fan of it because he, as you said, it's prequel number one. And number two, like, as the game goes, it gives so much credence to everything else that happens.
Yeah.
And his big thing, and I got out of it too, games like this, or at least the way this one is done, it's not shoehorned in to go, oh, look, we can throw something else at you and we can slap this name on it. This is very much indicative of the entirety of the IP and the verse. And he goes, yeah, things that you kind of learn as the game goes on, and as far as like, what they put forward, just from like, okay, it's this long after this time and now you're here and stuff like this. So as I was playing it, I just love the fact that it was like, okay, you didn't just have me do a shut up and color, like, here's a new game, you better like it. It was, no, we can add more. We can do it from a prequel sense, but we can add more and put this kind of the strategy type of spin, as far as like the way it's presented and stuff like that. Amazing graphics. I actually had to turn it up extremely loud to beat my neighbor below me. He's another anvil juggling competition or whatever. Yeah, I don't know if he's building a race car or a rocket ship, but it's got to be something with moving parts, because, God, that man is noisy. And then when he sees me walk by, and I mean mug him, I make eye contact. I'm like, that was you. Right around the time I was having that dream with Aubrey Plaza. That was you. Yeah, 3 a.m. Yeah, you, buddy. Yeah. So I had to turn it up really loud to kind of compete with him, which was great because the sound design is like off the chain. As you would expect in Gears of War.
Yeah, it feels like the impacts just feel meaty. Like,
yes.
Yeah, that's one thing, like you just said, with Gears of War in general, everything just has that impact to it. So they still carry that on through. And like you were saying before, with it like just kind of fitting, Gears of War actually kind of lends itself to this as well. It doesn't feel out of the norm. It's like, it feels very much like you would be doing in Gears of War because of like how the cover system works and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it feels like it would be more of a stretch to turn like Halo into an XCOM game.
Right.
Because like, you're playing Halo, you're not going behind cover like this. You're not behaving like that. It's more of a run and gun type game, and which Whereas in Gears of War, yeah, you still have that every so often, but you're going to be utilizing cover. You're going to be using like sight lines. You're going to be, that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
I think it does kind of lend itself. It doesn't feel out of place with this kind of game style.
No, and even more so with this type of game style, there are and there's two verses of this type of game where you have ones that are more run and gun, where you can do this, Akari Warriors, spin them around, or this. And I love the fact that this is such a great marrying of the two. Like, even though it doesn't necessarily have the same, angles as like other Gears of War games, the mechanics track to the characters and the movements. It still has that overall of like, okay, I'm still in like a Gears of War space. Yes, the presentation is obviously different. Mechanics are there. It's just more about how it's presented. But a lot of what's there, it's nothing new. It's not like you would play a game of Gears of War and go, oh, well, now I got to learn this all over again. No, a lot of this stuff still kind of connects. So, yeah, I got a lot of tutorial from my son on this because he loves this game. And like I said, I was like, oh, 2020, gee, nothing happened. I don't know how I missed it. What happened? Where was I? Was I on the beach? What was I doing? But this one's great. In its own way, it reminds me. Here's where I go retro. And just from the feel, not necessarily the game itself, it reminds me of the old Command and Conquer.
Yeah, to a degree. Like it's turn based instead of real time. But yeah, yeah. Speaking of which, I have the Command and Conquer bundle. I loved Red Alert. Oh
yes, anyways. Red Alert was the bomb.
Oh, but yeah, it's and like for the part-time gamer aspect of it, the missions usually don't take super long, and it gives you a lot of off ramps to say, okay, I finished this mission, I can take a break. So it doesn't necessarily make you feel like you have to play super long. It gives you those off ramps. But yeah, just when it comes to tactical games, this is actually really high up there. The mechanics are solid. I do think like one comment that September made, was when she played through it is like, okay, you have the models are a little lopsided to a degree in their quality, because you have the hero units and their models are very well done. They're very detailed. They, all that stuff. Then you have the recruit models and you can tell they're procedurally generated. They like the first thing she said is like going, because there's a cutscene where you have Gabriel and Sid are meeting with these people they're trying to save this this group that they're trying of gears they're trying to save, and the first two gears that show up look terrible. It's like there's this woman and this black guy who come up to them, and it's like they do not look nearly as detailed. They like you can tell that they're these are the red shirts,
right?
Just because the difference in the model quality. So like for September especially, she said that was a little disjointing, a little jarring to see that difference in the model design. I personally never even thought about it because in my mind it's like, oh, these are hero characters. Of course they're going to be a higher detail. Oh, these are the expendable recruits. No one's going to care what they look like. I just looked at it from that kind of mechanical standpoint. So to me, it wasn't that jarring, but that's now my brain works. But but other than that, it's like aesthetically, you can tell this is Gears of War. Everything is chunky. Yes. Everything has heft to it. It's definitely got that aesthetic down. And just. I'm gonna end up playing through this game again because I remember going through, like, as weird as it is, I've always loved the story of Gears of War. It's like they have rarely made a story that I didn't like in the Gears of War universe. I like the story in this. The boss fights are crazy because like, we're fighting all these little drone guys, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's a Brumok.
Yep. Just sitting there, hey.
Yeah, just hey, it's like you have to fight this Brumok, and it's turn based, and that's the only real difference. It's still really difficult at times. Like I remember going through those fights. It's like, oh, you have a lot of things you got to consider because you got to like get out of the way of its rocket attacks. You got to make sure you're in cover. You got to make sure your allies are healed up and everything. It's like so a little bit of a tangent. I remember I believe it was Gears of War 3. It was either 2 or 3, and doing horde mode with my friends. And we're in this hotel level. We got bunkered down in this hotel. We get into a boss wave, and it's like we knock out everything, and it's only showing one enemy left on the for our count. We can't find this last enemy. And it's like, okay, this is kind of weird. What's going on? I stick my head out of the hotel, and there's just a Brumok chilling in the street.
Oh, hey.
And it's like, we're on headsets. I was just like, yeah, that last guy, it's a Brumok. And my friend is like, wait, what? So it was funny. It's like, I think that's one of the reasons why I like this game too, is because I have these nostalgic, like my friends and I played through like at least the first 3 stories co-op and loved it. I mean, that's like practically a core memory for me growing up, was playing through these games with my friends. And unfortunately, there is no multiplayer in this. It is exclusively single player. Oh, which is
kind of a trip if it was.
Yeah, it'd be kind of interesting if it was, but I don't know how it would be able to do that because there's no, even though it's technically turn based, like you don't have any specific order that you're controlling your characters. So you can go between them whatever you want. And it's just whenever they're out of action points or you end your turn, that's when it goes to the enemy's turn, and it just goes back and forth that way. So there's no like specific turn order in that way. So it'd be difficult to do it multiplayer. I can understand why they didn't. But yeah, I like this game because in my advancing age, my reaction speed is not as good as it used to be, so I like the slower pace. I like the strategic aspect of it, of trying to figure out, it's like, okay, if I do this, like, again, just, I love all the little touches, the little nuances, the little tactics you can employ. Like one of the reasons why I like the Scout so much, Scout's probably one of my favorite classes, because I just love shotguns in general. And when you get the mines, because normally what you can do is there's e-holes that open up occasionally, and Locust will come out of those e-holes until you basically for like 3 or 4 turns, unless you close the e-hole early by throwing a grenade in there. Well, with the Scout, what you can do is the e-hole will start to crumble, but it won't fully open until the next turn. So if you get a Scout over there fast enough, plant a mine on the e-hole and get out of there, as soon as it opens up, it'll immediately detonate and blow up the e-hole without any of them coming out. So
dang, there you go.
That's one of the reasons why I like the Scout so much. Just being able to plant a mine, being able to plant grenades on the e-hole, and then just when it opens up, it's immediately closed again. But so yeah, just like all those little tactics and stuff like that you pick up throughout the game, just trying to figure out, it's like, okay, do I want to focus more on, like, I have a Vanguard, he's going Warden, so he's going to be able to taunt the enemies and everything like that. So I can focus more on single target healing with my support, because he's the Vanguard's going to be the one primarily taking all the damage. And that leaves my damage dealers to be kind of on their own. Just again, with the consideration, it's like, okay, am I going to be on an objective that doesn't move, or am I going to have to like move all over the map? So it's like, okay, I want to pick Scout instead of Heavy, or so on and so forth. I love all these little considerations. I love the level of customization you can do. Like, you can really focus on certain build types and everything like that. And the nice thing is, because it's exclusively single player, you're not competing against anyone. So there's not necessarily any wrong answer. There's certainly ones that work maybe better than others, depending on the situation. But as long as it works, who cares? You're just trying to impress yourself, basically, with your game. And like I said, right now it's on Game Pass, so there's always that option to play it. I'm probably going to end up playing through this again, because I got, as far as I recall, I got all the way to the end. I think I did beat the game once, but that was like right after it came out, and there have been a lot of updates since then. Like when I played, I didn't have Jack. Jack wasn't in the game at that point.
Right.
So I reinstalled it and loaded it back up, and apparently it didn't have my save anyway. So I have to start from the beginning, which I was planning on doing anyway, because it's been like 4 years since I last played it.
Right.
But I'm kind of more on this like strategy kick. Like I started up Clair Obscure Expedition 33 the other day too, so I've been playing through that. Yeah, if you listen to our podcast, or listen to our podcast, yes, obviously listen to our podcast, but also listen to our pre-show, and you'll hear us discuss a little bit of Clair Obscure and how I associate with the first 2 hours with the movie Up and Saving Private Ryan. Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
That was a lot.
Yeah. I think it's very well tutorialized. So whatever we haven't covered, I think people will be able to pick up through the tutorials and everything, and kind of get the little nuanced tactics.
It's well mapped out.
Yeah. Anything else from you on it?
No, I loved it. It was one of those. I'm glad we not only covered, but also kind of stumbled across, because, excuse me, it is a good time. And once again, it's taking, franchise, kind of putting it in another direction, but it just felt weird. It was like, wait, this is 5 years old? Because I thought this was like a little newer. And then I was like, 2020. That explains a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing important that happened that year.
Yeah.
All right.
No, history's got nothing there.
Yeah. So we still got a little bit of extra time right now, so let's go ahead and get into our water cooler talk.
You get that thing I sent you? Yeah.
So
Chipotle.
This was a somewhat difficult week to find some news on, because there's been a lot that's gone on this past week, including more layoffs. Giant Bomb and Polygon were Polygon got bought out, and then like immediately a bunch of their staff got fired. Yeah, there was
pretty unceremonious.
There was even more layoffs. But one thing that I found that was actually kind of nice was this article about Epic Games. So Epic Games, even though it's all corporate, and like I'm sure their motivations are all corporate, they're a business, they're trying to get money. At the same time, they're doing it in such a way that benefits people using their platform.
Yes.
So the headline reads, following its huge win over Apple, Epic says it will take even less money from developers who use its store. So they're really trying to get people into their ecosystem. And I think they're doing it in a way that is actually useful, is actually kind of nice, because the policy that they have implemented now, first of all, whenever you put a game on there, whenever it sells, they take a portion of the money from that sale for it being on that platform. So normally they would take 12%, which is one of the lower percentages for these
that's
storefronts.
pretty low.
Yeah, that's normally like I don't know what it is on Steam, but it's definitely more than that. But yeah, it's normally like 12%. What they're going to be what they're going to be doing? Yes. So what they're going to be doing? What they're going to be doing now is they've implemented a policy that for the first $1 million of revenue from a game, they take 0%.
Wow.
That is massive.
Yeah.
So you make a game, you put it on Epic, the first $1 million is yours. They're taking 0% of it. And then after that, then they go back to the normal 12%. So that is huge.
That is, yeah.
Yeah. They're also implementing what they're referring to as web shops. So like one of the big things that the Epic did against Apple, that kind of prompted all of this is if you like this probably specifically Fortnite. If you got Fortnite through the Apple store, you were not allowed to. You had to make purchases through the Apple Store, and thus had to deal with the increase in price from Apple taking their 30% cut. Well, Epic, through they initially lost their initial lawsuit or whatnot, legal matter with them, but then eventually won in a compromise. So basically what it is now is they allow you to go to an out-of-app route to make purchases. So you're no longer restricted to making the purchases in the app, which means that if you have Fortnite on an iPhone, you can go and make a purchase from an Epic website, and you don't have to pay that extra 30% to Apple.
Oh wow.
So that's a pretty big deal as well. And again, all of this is, trying to get them more money. This is not out of the goodness of their heart, purely, but at the same time, it benefits the people who are using the platform, which is the entire point. They're trying to compete with Steam, which is why they started doing the free games each week to begin with.
Yep.
Speaking of which, today, as of recording of the show, it is May 4th. As we mentioned, like the whole Star Wars talk at the beginning of the show. Go to actually, you're probably not going to be, unless you're watching this live. Go to Epic Game Store. Lego Star Wars is free right now.
Yes. Yep.
Unfortunately, it's only for today. So probably by the time you hear this, it's not going to be the case anymore. But I thought I'd say it anyway. So yeah, it's just, I think this is as much as it's for the revenue, for the attention and everything like that, it's still a win for developers. Because
absolutely.
They can make their first $1 million with them taking none of it away. So that was one of the, I guess, more positive articles I could find this week in the midst of all of the other garbage that's going on.
I didn't even look for stuff, and it was like I had stuff pop up on my feed, and it was like, is anything good happening? I mean, it doesn't feel like that anyway, and that's why I don't look at a lot of news, but the game stuff, obviously, I keep up on. But a chunk of it was like, it's like, hey, what's the word of the week? The word of the week is layoff. Hey, let's use that in a sentence. Would you believe the amount of people that are getting a layoff? It was just building, and it was a lot, not just like, cutting off the limb to spare the body, but just so unceremonious. Bye.
Yeah, and the big layoff news that really irritated me was that there was a bunch of layoffs from Respawn, and they canned a extraction shooter set in the Titanfall universe, which, hey, Respawn, or whoever owns Respawn or whatnot, you want to make a butt ton of money, make Titanfall 3. That's how you make a shit ton of money.
Yes.
Just make Titanfall 3. Just do that. Oh, yeah, man, Titanfall, such a great game. Still one of the best campaigns in a shooter to date. So good. It's like, if my gaming habits are weird, because I always struggle with games I want to play versus games that I feel like I should be playing. And sometimes I really just want to play Titanfall, Frontier Defense. I love that mode. I love Titanfall, but it's like I have so many other games I feel like I should be playing. Like I still need to get back to Helldivers 2. I still got Marvel Rivals. I got Claire Obscure. I got stuff I can still do in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. You know, there's just
there was a great quote. And this is a paraphrase, but there was a great quote, and this was not necessarily news, but it was one of those that stood out. So I can't remember who associated with Helldivers 2, but about what's coming out next for it. And the line was essentially, players are going to shit themselves, excuse my French, as soon as they see what we have next. And it's like, hey, you better put a guarantee on that, okay? Pixar, it didn't happen, buddy.
yeah.
Like, that's a bold sales line.
Yeah. Like, I know that, like, I'm trying to remember, they did announce that they're supposed to have a new War Bond coming up soon, and some kind of new update coming up soon. I mean, Helldivers 2 is still going strong.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's gone up and down in the, but it's like, I mean, it's still over like 50, 60,000 people playing at any given time. It's still really, really going strong, which I love. I mean, I still log into it. I haven't played an actual mission in a while, but I still log in every so often. It's still such a great game. I have to get back to it, but there's just so many games now, and my ADHD brain doesn't know which one to pick. But anyway, yeah. So Epic doing stuff. I mean, like I would want to just, I want to try to make some
doing epic things.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, again, I know it's all corporate and they're just trying to eventually make money, but it's not necessarily a bad way of doing it. It still benefits the people using the platform. So
well, and it goes both ways. Like there are times, and not necessarily if the company is in the best financial position to do it, but especially for gamers, small game creators, loyalty, I still think even in this age carries over. If you put out a small game and nobody knew anything about it, and you put it on there and you can associate it with them and vice versa, and it's like, you know what, they cut us a break. So I think that helps kind of everybody when you make it more accessible, because one thing, and we talk about it on here a lot, where a lot of the big companies, the AAA games, kind of has given the middle finger to a lot of gamers.
yeah.
And in turn, they've also tried to snuff out the little guy or absorb them and go, well, it'll just be the name on the package. It'll still belong to big so-and-so.
Yeah.
So this still allows for that kind of, I don't want to say underground, but kind of that under the radar game market where you can stumble across these great gems where, it's like, oh, this is who do I send the edible arrangements to? This is, I like this. You should keep doing this. And Epic will allow them to keep doing it. So it's advantageous both ways. And I think it's a nice way to kind of show up the competition. I mean, not show up per se, like Steam obviously is still going to be in there, but it's a nice middle finger to like some of the big guys.
Yeah. And actually that reminded me of another thing that was announced this past week was Xbox announced that their games going forward are going to be $80.
Yes.
And it's like in the midst of this, Jason Schreier mentioned that like the 3 highest rated games of this year thus far are less than $50.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I think it was one of them was Split Fiction, which I think is 30.
Yes.
Something like that.
That game.
Yeah, which I'll probably still I'm still planning on playing it tomorrow, Monday with Jess. We're still going through that. Really enjoying it. Such a good co-op game.
Yes.
But it's like they're these indie titles that are just so well done that it's like a lot of these AAA games are going to be $80. It's like, I can wait. It's like,
and they're selling the name on the box at this point. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. A lot of those games I love, Mario and what everybody else does, they're at that high, point for a reason.
Yeah.
But also it's like right now we are in on so many topics. We are on confusing times. You need to be a little nice to people. Like maybe not necessarily pandemic nice. Oh, no, wait, there wasn't a pandemic. There was something in 2020. I didn't know what it was. That's why I missed the Gear of War game. But having said that, like game companies really need to understand they really need to see the playing field for what it is. And I think they got a little too big for their britches. And I don't think there's so much of the wear off yet when games, those 2 years within the pandemic where game companies were riding high because people were stuck inside or didn't know what to do with themselves. And it was like, games were a nice comfort. And many of those companies did everybody a solid and they rode that for a while. And then it was like, oh, wait, these have to be good again. And it's like, you might want to work on that because there's an expectation for it. So I think now they really need to, and like I said, not necessarily give the games away, but kind of understand that, yes, there are things that play, tariffs, whatever you want, whatever the case. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But you also got to realize that if people are concerned with money that way, they're going to wait for the $80 game. You're not doing yourself a favor as much as you're not doing them a favor. And I can be patient. I have YouTube playthroughs for a reason.
And just like with Xbox, it's a little bit less egregious than Nintendo, because Nintendo stuff is like a lot of it's first party. You're not going to find it anywhere else, and it rarely ever goes on sale. Whereas Xbox, like, okay, you have Game Pass, so you can get like all their first party titles. You can just get on Game Pass for the most part, and the ones that aren't, if they're on the app and you have Game Pass, you get a discount. And it's like, or if you don't have that, like more than likely it's going to go on to Steam at some point, and Steam has a sale every 14 seconds on stuff, so you'll probably get it on sale there. So, but
I think they even time it by that too. They're like, wait, okay, go. That's why people love Steam as much as they do.
I mean, as much as Epic does all the free games, which are nice, and some of them are like full blown, AAA titles. Sometimes, not often, but sometimes there are, and they just give it away for free as long as you're like, hey, come here this week and find it. But anyway. All right. So that was like the bright, quote unquote, brightest news I could find this week, in the midst of all the other stuff. But everyone, thank you for listening. Please join us next week. While we continue our tactical games theme. And this is another game that I'm surprised we haven't talked about, because I remember, like, I haven't played it in a while again, but this is another really good tactical game that kind of went under the radar for the most part. We're going to be talking about Marvel Midnight Suns next week.
Yes.
Another really good game. It has its moments that are a little iffy, but for the most part, the actual like gameplay of it, I think, is really good, really well done, really fun. All right, but everyone, thank you for listening. If you like what you've heard and you would like to help us out, a few ways you can do that are by giving us a review over on Apple Podcast. You can follow my Twitch and YouTube channels for our live recordings Sunday nights starting at 9:15 Eastern Time, or become one of our patrons. If you'd like to contact us, you can with our email, parttimegamers.cast@gmail.com, or you can join our Discord channel. You can find this show and links to everything around it using the link bit.ly/CI Productions. You can find Ember's work over at 9of12.com, NINEOF12.com. Theo, where can people find you around the internet? I'm trusting you.
Sockpuppetsafterdark.com. No. It's a great name for a punk band.
Trust misplaced. Anyways, go ahead.
I was going to say, didn't you kind of seal your fate? Like, I felt like, I mean, you didn't say it, but I felt like you were daring me. Like, he is going to say something. It's like, I am.
I was trying to give you the benefit of the doubt, man. Anyways, keep going.
That was your first mistake. Anyway.
I know.
They can find me. It's on Spotify. My new podcast is called It's Terrible, So Please Listen. A little truth in advertising. I just released a couple days ago the new episode for a movie. So far, it's my favorite movie of the year. It's called Companion. And it is a very unique take on sci-fi. And I also talk a little bit how we're starting to get into this kind of like, we have so much controlled by like our phones and the internet and all this stuff. And we're starting to get grounded sci-fi, kind of like Severance as well as Companion, where it's like all these ideals that used to be like big, shiny type of sci-fi as now is like, oh yeah, I can do it all on my phone. Like control my girlfriend. So it's a good listen. I love the movie. If you haven't seen the movie, I highly suggest checking it out. It kind of went in and out of the theaters under the radar. I actually took two people to go see it with me who hadn't seen the trailers or knew anything about it. And it literally hit all the points for me. I loved it. And they walked out and they were like, this explains a lot about you when you see these kind of movies in you. I'm like, yeah, I know. And I'm like, but you didn't hate it, did you? And they're like, no, we loved it. I'm like, welcome.
All right.
Find me there. And then Rabbit in Red is supposed to kick up again, but when I know more, you'll know more. But yeah, the first 3 episodes of It's Terrible, So Please Listen is out now. So feel free to check it out and tell me how bad it is.
All right. All right, everyone. Until next time, we are the Part-Time Gamers clocking out.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.